This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. Remember when I was with you?
Hello, this is Lanny Poffel, formerly the genius full of glory and renown. Let me tell you something,
brother.
You guys, brother, what you gonna do?
And I have tried to understand. You know I've done the best I can.
Okay, I'm gonna come out of the closet right now. I am bisexual. I'm 64 years old, and if I want it, I have to buy it.
This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. I didn't know it was nothing from the start.
The major upset wins over Braun. The King. What?
Randy, read that line. It says, ooh, you are watching the #1 station in Hawaii. Ooh, yeah. I what?
Bingo.
That sounds like money. But on the days that I don't have to do anything, I do nothing. Okay? I believe of 10 hours of sleep, followed by 14 hours of relaxation every single day.
Sign me up.
This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. Should have known we'd never get that far. After all we've been through.
I'm happy just being me. I call myself Leaping Lanny. I validate what I say to every single wrestling fan who's watching USA. Yes, I believe in miracles, as God has blessed this great land. I believe the referee will soon be raising my hand. And then after we go to commercial
That was
black,
awesome.
Well, hold on. I got to applaud that, man. Holy cow.
well, who's next? That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
And that's why treat everybody like it's their last day.
Yeah.
And be kind, and if you have some nice thing to say it now. You won't have a chance tomorrow.
Well, I love you, brother. Thank you for
I love
coming
you guys.
on. Thank you for coming
I
on.
love you guys, and
Thank you.
we're gonna be friends. And I love your show, and
Thank you.
every wrestling fan should listen.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and Farrow, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. We got Spidey on this early morning in New York at under 4 degrees. How you feeling, Spidey?
Cold outside.
It's cold outside, and it's cold in here when you have no toilet paper.
Having no toilet paper makes it colder?
It reminds me of old times. Old times.
Oh.
Farrow, bird flu outbreak is spilling over into mammals. What does that mean for humans? One of the world's largest outbreaks of bird flu, which led to the slaughter of millions of chickens. To limit the spread, appears to be spilling over to mammals. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said that the influenza A virus has been detected in mammals such as skunks, bears, raccoon, and a red fox. And that's not the guy from...
Red fox?
That's not that guy.
Big dummy.
Though most cases were detected in Oregon, positive tests in mammals were confirmed in the following states according to the USDA's Animal Plant Health Inspection Services. They found this in Alaska, Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Montana, Nebraska, the great state of New York, and Washington. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, the Animal and Plant Health Agency found positive cases in otters and foxes.
Otters.
The agency also said cats tested positive in
leave
France.
the cats out of it.
And the highly contagious virus is ready to affect a large outbreak within the Spanish mink farm.
I have
One of the world's largest outbreaks of bird flu, which led to the slaughter of millions of chickens to limited spread, appears to be spilling over into mammals.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
symptoms, just in case you might have it on this early morning.
Oh, of course.
Eye redness, but that could be from you
That's
smoking
from
pot,
weed.
right?
Yeah, that's
so
from
that
weed.
doesn't count.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
You know,
I haven't had sex with any chickens
our
lately.
guest.
I'm all right. What?
Do you partake in the herbal plant marijuana?
Be honest.
Here and there, I'd say I partake. I am from California, so
Yeah.
Do you mind the red eyes?
I do not mind the red eyes.
Okay.
I do, in professional wrestling, we know of this stuff called Japanese eye drops. They are mouthwash for the eyes.
Very nice.
Really?
I don't know if there's anything comparable in America, but
Okay.
those are pretty awesome. They definitely.
Japanese eye wash.
All right, so we really can't count the red eyes.
Gotta look into that. I'm
as the-
sure. I just
as-
learned something.
as the bird flu, right?
Nah,
Because
I'm
there could be
good.
many red eyes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Fever,
No, I'm good.
cough,
I smoked
sore
heavy.
throat,
No, I'm good.
runny or stuffy nose,
No, I'm good.
muscle or body aches,
No, I'm good.
headaches,
No, I'm good.
fatigue,
I'm always tired.
shortness of breath.
No, I'm good.
Less common symptoms include diarrhea.
No.
And you don't want to get diarrhea here because there's no toilet paper. So please don't
Stop
get the
with
bird
the
flu
toilet
while being
paper.
here. Nausea, vomiting, and it sounds kind of like
Sounds like
COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Is this a work?
Yeah, we could be.
Those that I even fell under, the muscle aches. I mean, I had muscle aches every day.
Right, right.
Yeah, but that's from what you've done throughout your career, right?
We know that. You know what I mean? I don't,
Yeah, how do you know it's not from a bird?
I don't know.
It could be from a
Maybe
bird.
Yesterday it was from wrestling, and today it's influenza. I don't know.
Right, right.
Well,
There we go.
well, we know. Well, now we know why the price of eggs is through the roof, right? Because they're killing all the
They're
birds.
killing all the birds.
Now that's the headline of the whole story is when you said they were massacring chickens.
Right,
I'm
right.
worried about the protein supply.
Interesting.
It's a good point.
I'm worried about the chickens. Oh, jeez, whatever.
Is there any point in that you feel worried that maybe there will be a zombie apocalypse from this
Zombie?
type of stuff? Like sooner or later, like someo's going to be a zombie.
Oh, absolutely. I'm worried that we're going to be living on artificial food in about 20 years. You know, what is this? These new burgers they have that they're trying to, sell us on. Like, oh, it's not really meat, but it's great. It's
Right.
like this is going to be all our food in about 20 years. Through,
I can see it.
I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be some. I'm worried that there's going to be some reason for a lack of resources, or maybe too many people,
Right.
or not. I don't know. But this is all stuff that, like you said, I don't know. You
Hold
could
on one
get worried.
second.
You could worry sick about it, but it may
His
never
mic
happen.
is good. I'm sorry, Chris. They were saying your
yeah.
mic was out. Good. Keep going, brother. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what I was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's early. You expect them
Look,
to...
I'm not a zombie guy.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You really
zombie
get.
apocalypse. Well,
What's with the
I think
zombies?
COVID was very telling when you had people raiding the grocery stores for supplies, and we weren't even anywhere close to that kind of. You know what I mean? Like a Hansen. I don't know. I just feel like not a zombie apocalypse, but I could see the breakdown of civilization.
Yes.
And that was like the early sign, very early
Yes.
signs of it. Like, oh, okay, so what happens? The first signs is, people go shopping and buy everything. They buy all the meat, all the cleaning products,
All the
and
toilet
that,
paper.
so they can go bunker down. And nobody. And the worst part is in big cities, nobody considers anybody else. Like maybe in your smaller communities,
Right.
everybody look out for each other. But yeah, like in LA,
Free for all.
yeah, like you had single dudes buying 20 pounds of meat. Not me. But no, honestly, and then families come in and they can't feed. The whole thing.
Yeah, but Chris, you
Anyways.
bring up some really good points, though, right? Because living on artificial food. I don't know if you're aware, but like Monsanto, they've they've cornered, right? Farmers can't even farm anymore because the seeds are so genetically altered now that a natural seed won't work anymore. They don't grow in our soil anymore.
Really?
So I think you bring up a really important point and a very scary point to begin with. So when you use, Weed Be Gone and stuff like that, that's the shit Monsanto makes, right?
Yep.
That shit is altering everything on the planet, right? It's altering the soil, it's altering the plants. So you've got bugs, they're eating the plants, and then we, back in the 40s, 50s, we used some kind of like anti-bug spray, I don't know what you want to call it, and then they become immune to it, just like we will become immune to things, right? You can eat a bunch of McDonald's and, sooner or later, you might live to 50 instead of dropping dead at 30 years old, right? So my point is that Monsanto has altered so much stuff to keep, and now the bugs, it's the only thing that can stop bugs from eating your crops. How's that? It was a better explanation.
Yeah. The whole thing, it's crazy to think about. But I mean, as far as a literal zombie apocalypse, I don't see that happening, unless, I don't know, the closest thing to zombies I've seen is,
Me, right now.
Well, I mean, you guys might see it in the big cities. When you see homeless people who are on meth,
Yeah.
that's the closest thing you're
Yeah.
seeing to a zombie or whatever, because they're literally just, they ain't got shoes on, they're yelling at absolutely nothing,
Right.
and they can't like even
They're all,
partake.
they're all like tweaked out. They got those white lips.
Exactly.
And they're like,
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary stuff.
Seen
but,
a few?
I've seen a few of those Twinkies.
Yeah, you had me thinking about something else, but I lost my thought. I guess so early in the morning.
It's nothing like getting interviewed at 8:30 in the morning.
Well, it's 5:30
Overburnt-
Pacific time too for me, so
There
I'm
you
still
go.
Bugs and
adjusting.
zombie apocalypses. I'm sure that was at the top of your mind this morning.
Honestly, I had no idea where we were going.
This guy. What's
Listen,
next?
we don't do wrestling shoots, right?
Wait,
and by the
yeah,
way,
we can- well,
more
yeah.
kudos to you. Love the hair.
Yes.
Much better than the
Yes.
short hair.
Yes,
I like
it is.
I like it.
It's voluptuous
Yeah,
and luxurious.
He was bringing that up too. It really started with I absolutely hate getting haircuts. Even since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
One of my earliest photos is me in a barber chair, bawling my eyes out, just so scared of these scissors by my head.
Right.
But anyways, I just figured, I'm gonna stop getting haircuts and I'll see what happens. But I never thought I'd actually go long again. But I actually, I started liking it actually.
Yeah.
So it goes kind of into, you want to evolve. Like you don't want to, it's one thing, you don't want to look the same in your 20s as you did in your 30s, the 30s, the 40s. And
Well,
felt
being
like
a-
a good little evolution for me.
Being a
Yeah.
bodybuilder, though, did you feel you had to have the short hair? Because it kind of was that,
Well, no,
that
here's
type of industry?
here's the thing. So I grew it long because when I was young, I decided I wanted to wrestle, and everybody had long hair. But then it was funny. First of all, my long hair was terrible when I was like 18. As I was telling you, I didn't. You don't know how to take care of it. You don't know what you're doing. So it just looked awful. And then kind of short hair went in wrestling. Like everybody started cutting their hair. It was like right around Orton and Cena and all of us.
Right.
So it was just like perfect for me because I didn't look great with long hair either that young. I felt like my face hadn't matured enough and stuff. So I actually got a haircut then at 19, and then
Well, genetically, you look like you have all your hair. Like,
Yeah.
again, when we get to a certain age, I'm always looking at men and going, these guys have doll head at this point, right?
Doll head.
Doll head, right? It's got
Yeah,
like thick little
yeah,
strands.
yeah.
So I was like checking out. I'm like, this guy's got a full head of hair.
No,
No doll
it-
head going on this guy.
It's
No.
well, people who really know me know it's been the fight of a lifetime because genetically I don't I don't have good genetics. Like it runs on my what is it? If it runs on your mom's side,
As far as hair goes,
hair loss.
otherwise
and-
you're doing okay.
Yeah,
with
oh
your
yeah, no
genetics.
genetics in that
Yeah.
department, but the hair thing was always a concern. But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've had to do every kind of maintenance or preventative work and all of that. To
What was
just-
that thing you said is really good for hair? Collage?
Oh, well, collagen is not
Collagen.
it's not just good for hair, but that's one of the main things. Like collagen is just a great supplement that any athlete should be taking, but even regular folks, it's basically bone broth.
Okay.
But we don't get enough of that in our diet, and what that stuff is great for is your hair, your skin, your connective tissue and all that stuff. And I'm new to taking it myself, but after I did the research on it, I was like, oh my God, every one of my peers and coworkers should be taking this, and I'm just gonna, tell anybody who could listen. And I'm not being paid by anybody. This is just information I'm passing along.
So instead of looting houses and stuff like that and taking from people, you're actually trying to give back to society, right?
Yeah, I try to do what I can, man. You know what I mean? I never thought about looting houses. I will say that.
So there you go. Well, if you didn't notice, Chris, this is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy, along with his partner,
yeah.
Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. They sing such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life Not Far Behind, and Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube
Sing,
page.
play,
Hear them on Spotify, Spotify. Download their music from Apple Music or Reverb Nation. And if you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, where you can catch Monty and the Pharaoh on the Monty and Pharaoh YouTube page, where over 2 million views are seen. The Monty and the Pharaoh Facebook Live pages on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor. Catch us on the Monty the Pharaoh Twitch TV page. And if you live lucky enough to live in New York, which today is not a good day to be living in New York.
Freezing.
It is freezing. Catch us on channel 115 every Tuesday at 9 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 11:30 a.m. and channel 20 at Tuesdays at 7 p.m. where over 150,000 fans see us weekly.
We're everywhere.
We're going to take a quick commercial break where the fans are waiting for this wrestling icon.
Who's that?
That's you, brother. Now, before we start, after the break,
What?
do you want to be called Chris Adonis? Do you want to be called Chris Masters? Or do you just want to be called
You can just call me Chris.
Chris? Just call me Chris.
Just call me Chris.
That's a name. That's a good
or you
television
can
show.
call me Mr. Peace.
There you go, Mr. Peace. There you go. You know what? I think I'll just call me Chris. That's a name.
call me Chris.
Forget the Young Rock. We could do like a young, just call me Chris.
Just call me
Okay.
Chris. Oh, I
And
like
we could talk about how do you like
Okay.
to get your hair cut. That like would be an
like that.
episode.
Well, that's-
Chris
that-
gets a haircut.
That's much down the line, man. That's much down the line. We got to accomplish some stuff, and we'll come back to that idea.
All right, you got
There
it.
we go.
Just call me Chris.
We shall return in a masterful moment.
Manscaped?
Uh-huh.
You know.
No, it just
Have
came
you
out.
tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped. What are you thinking about
Love it.
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So
big-
Manscaped is
You-
a must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a woman,
I know where
would you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Well,
Racing stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that.
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
Have
it!
you ever gone down there and like just like she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
a,
46,
like it pops
of
out?
course.
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's a
through.
trooper. He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you go.
I hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven does, Manscaped could help you.
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
but
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick.
The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, where we're welcoming this pro wrestling icon.
That is me.
We're just going to call him Chris, so we don't step over any
call
boundaries.
me Chris.
Welcome, Chris. Just call him Chris.
Wait a second, Spidey. What name are you gonna put up under him? Just Chris?
Yeah, just call
Is there
call
a
me
graphic
Chris.
here? There's a graphic here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's graphics.
Let's go.
yeah.
Just call me Chris. I like it.
Wait.
I mean, people.
So you come to New York
Yes.
and you bring us freezing weather. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's my fault now.
Yes, that's
You
what the
know
news
what?
said. That's what the news said.
Honestly,
Chris
I
has landed. We saw it on social media, and the temperature dropped
That's
by
why
40
we're
degrees.
cold this morning.
People were warning me all week coming out here because they had seen the reports that it was going. Oh, even Eric actually had texted me during the week, just let me know like it's going to be freaking cold. So I mean, and I still didn't bring a winter coat. I brought this, and then I brought like, 3 other layers of stuff. But
You
yeah,
came from
it's-
California, right? I
Yes.
mean,
But you're working with Sims this weekend, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
is he putting the heat on in the car at least to keep you warm, or is he kind of
no.
cheaping
He's
out
putting
there?
the heat on, but like
I just figured he fought a couple of times.
It's funny because he told me to be ready to leave at 6:15, and
Right.
he was very stressed that time. It was a very hard time. Like we have to be out by
Hard
6:15.
6:15.
You know what time we left?
What time?
Like 6:37.
Wow, I'd be annoyed.
That's
I
the
could've got
cold.
Wait a second, but
Where'd he come from?
Not my fault. I'm in the lobby. At 6
Oh,
o'clock in the
he's
morning
gonna pass the
wanting
heat
to
on.
talk.
He's gonna pass the
course he
heat
is.
on to somebody else. Of
Yeah.
course.
There you go.
The point is, I could have got 20 more minutes.
There we go. Showed up late.
Oh, he's just.
I had a flat tire. I had to
Yeah,
go
but
to Quick Check to get
see
it
what
fixed.
Eric is failing to understand is that's his assistant, so the heat still falls on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
your
When you
fault,
manage
yeah.
people, you're ultimately responsible.
Yeah. Hey, I was on time. I was perfectly
You were
on
ready?
time.
Ready?
Hey,
Your hair was dry.
oh, everything. My hair was dry. I was
It
perfect.
takes a while too.
It does.
Right.
Hey, see,
When-
you
when you-
understand? You can't just with long hair. You
No.
can't just shower and then walk out.
No, you
No,
cannot.
you can't.
No.
No. It's very true.
By the way, when the interview's done, just go check his trunk. He has a whole bunch of toilet paper back there.
Who does, Eric?
Actually,
Do you? Could you bring a roll
Hey,
inside?
they need some toilet paper, man. You need to bring.
I actually do have it.
Oh, good. Bring a roll to the studio.
Hey,
Could you-
seriously
I'll
though.
pay you. I'll pay you the price. $5 a roll.
just
Seriously
made
though,
money
you
on
guys need
toilet
to switch
paper.
to baby wipes, or that way.
Baby wipes,
If you
yeah.
do more flushable wipes,
Yeah.
you can cut back on your TP, and it's just much cleaner.
Yeah,
honestly,
it
because
is.
like you don't want
But
to.
what do you do for the environment? Like, would you throw it in the garbage? Or?
No, they're
For the
flushable.
environment.
Yeah, they're flushable, but like it's just much more cleanly. And then I don't know, with TP, you just look at you guys are out of TP because you've used so much of it.
Yeah. It's just bad. I always knew somebody was full of shit. Anyway. Ay.
So, Chris,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Thursday we lost pro wrestling legend Lanny Poffo. Did you meet Lanny? Did you know Lanny at all?
I met him a couple times, but I didn't know him very well. But I've obviously knew of him, of his family, of Macho, and it's sad. It feels like it's just tough because over the last couple of years, I feel like we've had more loss than my whole life, I think. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just different now. Like, I mean, everyone is hard, but it's just, wow, we lost another one, and some, like the Briscoe one was just so tragic to me. It was hard to even look at just because of the family, and then it's just so out of nowhere. But at the same time, you also you can't help but get, I don't want to say numb to them because they all hurt in different ways, but it's just like man, it's hard to get surprised by somebody dying unless it's a Briscoe situation or something like that where it's just completely out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And they're young and able-bodied. But so I don't know. It's like there's a callus developing. And then even before the last couple of years, just being involved with professional wrestling, you guys obviously know the history of it, and so you've seen a lot of people go. And so I mean, it's just one of those things, man. It just sucks. So we lost another one, and they never feel good.
At this stage of your life, do you sometimes worry about the career choice you made? I mean, so many guys in your business just get cut short. Do you ever worry
No,
about
because
that?
I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the reckless kind of generate. I don't want to say reckless, but like, a lot of it was a completely different vibe when I first came in, and the guys I grew up watching and stuff. I mean, it was much more of the rock star lifestyle. Is a lot more reckless, and some of them explained it to me like this. It's like, now we know that wrestling is here and it's going to live forever, but back then they didn't know if it was going to be over tomorrow, and that's the way they treated it, and that's the way they live life. But so I saw that side of it, but I also have seen the side now where we've cleaned up professional wrestling. We don't have all of these issues. We don't have people passing out in the locker rooms anymore, and so and I followed suit, luckily. You know what I mean? Like, I had my early issues in my 20s and stuff like that, but now, I mean, I barely even touch alcohol. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say I'm the picture of health, you know what I mean? But I'm not reckless anymore either. Like, I don't drink, I don't party, I take care of myself, and I think that, some of those past decisions could have done me in, and, knock on wood, I came out luckily without any, I think, long-term damage, at least not yet.
There are wild, obviously, 80s and 90s rock star type stories involving wrestlers partying, the drugs, the women. Was it wild when you first got into the WWE scene? I mean, this is now the age of Cena and Lesnar and Orton. Was it as crazy as
No, it was nothing. It was nothing like what you heard of the '80s and the '90s. But every once in a while, things got wild, and it was fun. And that's why I'm glad I got to see both, because, and it was just very seldom. Like, the wildest times I can remember in WWE, honestly, were sometimes the WrestleMania parties, but actually more specifically, it was the tribute, the flight over to the tribute to the troops. I mean, you've heard some of the stories. Like, I mean, just think about it. Flight, just wrestlers. You got cases of alcohol, and it was the only time I've ever seen Vince really let his hair down was on those flights, and it was just.
So you say that. So we, obviously the plane ride from hell was on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
In your moments on your flights to Saudi, what, like, any stories that happened on the plane?
It was
equal
similar
to, like,
stuff, but it didn't sound so bad as like the plane ride from hell, because I don't know, that wasn't a commercial flight. That was literally just the wrestlers in the.
It was a wrestler flight, and I don't think neither Linda or Vince were on a flight, even though people try to report.
The things that stand out in my head from that there were some things that were kind of sucked, but like. There's a lot of funny stuff, you know what I mean? Like Vince instigating a shoot wrestling match between CM Punk and Shelton Benjamin. And then it actually went from Shelton Benjamin to Carlito because of some kind of cross drama there with Maria. So, like, yeah, and then, somebody's sleeping on a hammock and getting their hammock cut. I'm not going to say any of the names involved in that. And then.
Well, go back to Punk. Like, did Benjamin just beat the shit out of Punk, and Punk just cried and said, "Let me go and let me sit down and eat popcorn"?
Man, I don't know how
Go to
serious.
sleep.
I mean, this is on one of those planes. You don't even have a lot of room to work with. But
Right.
I mean, from what I remember, I think they did grapple a little bit. But like, nobody's going to beat Shelton Benjamin. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
really.
Like, anyway, and it basically was amateur wrestling too. So like, I don't know. And then Vince. I mean, one of the funniest parts was I remember we were in Germany coming back from Afghanistan, and because we would stop there, and we would stop at the base, and man, there was this nice restaurant we go to, and everybody was drinking, and it just turned into this big karaoke thing, like led by Vince. He was having such a great time that like it was time to go, and the captain was ready and everything, and they were like threatening, or no, they wanted us to go, and Vince got so hot that he was like threatening to. Buy the plane and all kinds of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He did not want to leave, and it was just like, I don't know, I just never seen it. Like,
What was it like performing for the troops? What did it feel like? Was it special for you?
oh yeah, it's exactly what you might have heard in terms of it being, it's not just people saying it because it sounds like the babyface thing to say. Or actually, this is what Vince said, and this will, put it in perspective. Vince would say, before going there, that the tribute to the troops is the biggest thing we do, even, I think, over WrestleMania, which sounds crazy, right? You're like, what? Like, because WrestleMania is WrestleMania, but like when you actually go there and experience, you understand what he's saying. It's not that, like, WrestleMania obviously is much more people and everything, but it was a bigger experience than yourself, is what it is. You get there and you realize it doesn't matter how you feel about the war, politics, any of that. It's bigger than you. It's you performing for people who are doing tasks that are, dangerous, sometimes mundane, and it's a different level of gratitude. Like when you wrestle for people and they enjoy it, that's great, but when you get real gratitude from people, which you every once in a while you see in the world, like I go to certain places, like, and that was one of them. Like the tribute to the troops, you could see how grateful they were to have us there, to have us perform, to have us to be able to meet us and just to take them out of their everyday routine of what they were doing. So it was every bit of all of that.
Kind of going to jump script here.
Yeah.
What did Vince McMahon mean to you, Chris? I mean, how did you look at Vince?
The god of wrestling, essentially. I mean, and that's probably not the best way to put it, you know what I mean? But it really is. I mean, he's the guy. And so when you perceive it like that, yeah, he can be a bit intimidating, and he's got a big presence, obviously. But I mean, yeah, he's just, whether you love him or hate him, when Vince had all these difficulties over the last half year, and I'd do autograph signings, and I'd hear fans kind of laying into him, or just kind of wanting to discard him, I'd just be thinking to myself, like, even with my circumstance, and I don't have ill feelings or anything, like, things didn't go perfect when I was there, obviously, but to not at least, he's given so much, regardless of how you feel about him. I mean, a lot of all of our fandom is based on what, he's given us as far as, these classic, and, I mean, and he gambled everything in WrestleMania 1 and 2 to make it work. I mean, I just can't, he is the guy over, you can put, say, Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, Hulk Hogan. I mean, Vince is up there alone, right?
Yeah.
Like, because what's the common denominator in all of that? All those guys, Vince.
Yep.
How do you feel about the allegations that were against him? Did it bother you, or could you not give a shit?
I mean, it sucks. I don't know. When you hear all these allegations from all these wrestlers, the Me Too movement in general, it sucks to hear. But like, I will. I mean, I was just relieved that I know that, there's nobody that's going to come out of the woodwork and say that I did anything inappropriate. And if they did, they'd be completely full of shit.
There you go.
Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on here.
No, you
So
can.
I don't know. I looked at all this like, no. I'm not going to say Vince's was surprising. I don't know if any of them were surprising, because coming up in professional wrestling was a rude awakening to the realities of the world very quickly, just as far as how guys are and whether you're in a family or not. And that's not all guys, obviously, but it was a rude awakening to all that. And, to me, again, it sucks, but it was like kind of nothing that I wasn't either kind of knew or suspicious of. But again, I just looked at it like, all right, well, this ain't going to be an issue for me. So I just watched.
But I mean, you're a good-looking guy, right? And you're with this internal family, right? To me, it's kind of difficult not to get involved with someone, I would think. How were you able to stay away from it? If you did, I don't know if you did or not.
Oh, you mean, you're talking about like getting involved with somebody?
I don't mean sexually harassing someone or forcing someone. I'm saying actual relationship with another female.
Well, no, it does. It happens a lot, but like, it doesn't happen. Like, that doesn't mean everybody dates somebody within the business. You know what I mean? Like, there's, I have a lot of friends who have been in long-term relationships with people in the business, and I'm just kind of happy to say that I haven't, just because it seems like it would be very difficult. It's difficult if you're in two different promotions for obvious reasons, and then it's difficult even if you're in the same promotion, because then you're now with that person all of the time. And I think that's a problem in itself, because I think it's a healthy thing, obviously, to have some time. Like, when I was on the road with WWE, it was difficult to be gone that long. Like, I had a girl I got engaged to, but at the same time, it was almost like, man, every time I came home, it was so exciting. You have time to miss the person, and then there's a lot to catch up on, and I don't know. So it's, I always realize from that point, maybe it's not great to be gone 4 days, but it's good to have some time away.
Great story I read about you, if you could elaborate. Supposedly you saved your mother from a burning house. What was that all about?
Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay.
I heard you went, Pharaoh, you got to hear this. I heard he went into Hulk mode, man. He was like, when Hulk used to rip the doors off of cars to save people, like Bill Bixby or whatever.
Would you break the master lock to get inside or something? Or?
Basically, it was like, it was like the rip the tree out of the ground equivalent of a master lock.
How did the fire start?
All right,
I mean,
well,
take us
okay,
through this.
this is a very long story, so I'm going to figure out how to go about telling you guys this and without it taking too long.
Oh, the
But-
reduced version.
Yeah, well, there's
The
many.
cable version.
There you
Well,
go.
so there. Okay. Basically, I got a call from a neighbor saying that there was something going on at my mom's place,
Okay.
and that the police had been by. And so I tried to call, and I didn't get an answer machine, an answer, or anything, which was very uncharacteristic.
Unusual.
Yeah, it's unusual at that time. I should have got at least a message or something.
Yeah.
So then I leave the gym and I head straight there, and I see that basically my uncle's locked out, and because he was living with my mom at the time.
Okay.
And so basically, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but I quickly find out as I get there that my mom is barricaded, or she's locked in the house, and I try to make communication with whoever's locked in the house, and the guy is just speaking. I mean, he might as well. What was that church lingo where they go on into the crazy
Tongues. He's talking in
Yeah,
tongues.
he might. As,
He's babbling
he's borderline
away.
talking in tongues. He's just talking about how she's his mom too now, and like, yeah, he's talking madness. Like,
Whoa.
really
Whoa.
quickly, I realized that he was on some kind of he was on something.
Okay.
And so the situation was difficult because I had to make a decision. Either I'm trying to get in there right there and I'm trying to kick the door down, or, the cops were just there and had left. So that was also like puzzling to me. I'm like, how did the cops leave with this situation?
Right.
So I quickly read the situation and realize I probably, like, even me being this size, I don't think I'll be able to get the door down. Like with the tennis shoes I was wearing, and which fast forward later was the right call. I ended up calling the cops. I asked them, you guys were just here. What's going on? My mom is barricaded in her house, and there's some wacko in there, and he's talking about, because my mom yelled something about fire. So I quickly realized also that this guy's threatening the fucking sorry, I keep cursing.
You can curse. It's fine.
Okay. So this guy he's trying to set a fire. Like, she's basically kind of telling me that in broken, English. And so, sorry, I'm trying to get through this story. You opened it. But basically, okay. So the cops come back and they form a perimeter and they put me around the perimeter, and they, they try to communicate, but it's not working. And then, here's the key part. So they try to get the door down with a battering ram, and they can't get it down. So right then and there, I was like, oh, thank God I didn't try to do this all myself. Because I was worried if I started doing it myself, he might kill her or set this fire, and
Sure.
then I'm really got no backup. So the battering ram takes about 4 tries, and finally the door comes off its hinges, but obviously it's barricaded too. So it's like, and then this is the scariest part. So as this is happening, I see a fire emanate from the corner window. And so I've already moved forward, and then now the door comes off the hinges, and what happens now is smoke comes burrowing out. And now this is the moment where my adrenaline went through the roof, because, this whole time I'm worried that she could possibly, I'm like, she could come out of this, or she, this is obviously very dangerous. But that was the moment where I realized, oh, she'll die of smoke inhalation before even the fire. And it just became very real that if I don't do something, she's going to die. So basically, the first thing I did was I grabbed the hose to where the fire was, and I told the cop to break the window. I stuck the hose where the fire was, which that probably didn't even matter at all in the big picture. But then I come around to the front, and like, the cops can't progress because the smoke's burrowing, and I'm completely irrational in my mind because my mom's there. I'm like, I'm thinking, what the hell? Like, get in there, like, get in. And then, but they can't, like, the smoke, you know what I mean? There's a lot of it already. And so, like, I realize what room she's in, and that there's a tree blocking the window that we can get her out of. So, and then there's one other window. So they break the first window, there's no sign of her. And then there's this other window that's blocked by the tree. So I grab the tree and I basically freaking break it out of the ground and like pull it down out of the floor, basically, and to the ground. Then they break that window. It's almost like she was building up, because you don't see her. All of a sudden she pops up. I'm like, oh my God. Scooped her up, took her about 50 feet from the scene, and then, they got into a little wrestling match pulling him out. And I went over there and kind of got my best version of a RKO punt kick to the head.
Nice.
When I saw an opening, and that was it, man. But I mean, that moment right there, you know, people have asked me about this story and I have to tell. It was even on Good Morning America, man.
Yeah,
I've never received this kind of positive press, but that moment again where the smoke came burrowing out from the door and the cops had to essentially kind of backpedal was just, that was the moment where, you know, people talk about like that adrenaline or that super rush. That's the moment for me where that really came through.
Amazing. I want to go back again. I was thinking about this. You were in the WWE at the same time as Ashley Massaro, correct?
Yeah.
Did you have a relationship with Ashley at all? I mean, relationship like as a friend? Did you know her?
Yeah. She was very nice. She traveled with me and she rode with me and Orden a couple of times. Just, you know.
So, you know, unfortunately, she took her life, as we all know. But there is a story about when she was in Kuwait that she claimed that she was sexually assaulted. Did she ever mention that to you or?
No,
anybody?
but we were. I don't think we had a relationship where she would bring that up to me. We weren't like close on that.
Were you
level.
shocked when you heard that story of her
That
allegations?
story, I don't remember the details of it now, but I have heard that story, and it was a bit alarming, that one, and shocking to me. Like that one did surprise me, but I don't remember the details off the top of my head, but I remember it's pretty awful, whatever was said.
Did you ever notice she was having these type of mental breakdowns or problems, or she always seemed upbeat while wrestling?
But like it's hard to tell. Sometimes you can't tell with people up there, or you're so wrapped up in kind of what you're doing, maybe, or you know, like you really kind of put on a mask. I think a lot of times when you're working there, like you almost have to be. I don't want to say you walk in and you be like I have to be the masterpiece, Chris Masters, from the minute I go to leave, but you kind of have to, you know what I mean, or at least you have to, you know, you don't always want to show vulnerability. You know what I mean? That's not always, especially in the locker room I came up in where it was guys who were, you know, not the video game generation that we have now, but again, the more rough, kind of rough and tough, you know, pay your dues generation. And
But when you reflect back, right, because you had this internal family, we talked earlier about Poffo and Briscoe, for example. Do you think to yourself after you find out she took her life, like, man, did I not see something? Could I have helped her? Or is it like, hey, look, I didn't have that sort of relationship with her?
It was both probably, because I don't know. I just don't think it's just one of those things. You know what I mean? It's hard to help somebody when they're having issues that are that deep. You know, you would have to really be close to that person to help them in that, you know what I mean? Like, and because, you know, they're not going to open up to you about stuff like that. So, like, I just don't feel like I ever got to a point where, you know, if me and Ashley were close enough then, or a lot closer, then I would have felt exactly what you were saying. I felt like, man, why didn't I? But, like, I was just kind of never in a position to know that, like, oh, man, that she was really suffering from that. So I just, you know, I know that there's nothing that I could have done. But, you know, if anybody that close to me did it, that was really close, that you know, you would almost hope that you would be able to see the signs. And that would only happen through having conversation or seeing that person every so often or whatever.
How about Benoit? What'd you think about that? Did you see any signs with Chris Benoit?
I don't think it's a big problem saying this. I mean, I pretty much assumed right away that Chris did what he did, and it's not because he was a bad guy really, but I couldn't see. I was worried about it. I didn't know for sure. I was worried about it. I didn't see what else could have happened. I didn't see somebody kind of just killing the whole family. So it was shocking, and all I remember was hoping that it wasn't him who did it, and then finding out the next morning it was him who did it. And then just being like, and I just always kind of reflect back, and you know, instances like this have really shown me to trust my gut, especially now at this age. When I shook his hand, there was an intense energy to him that felt very uncomfortable to me. And I've now learned to trust this instinct like wholeheartedly, especially at this age now more than ever. You know, it's not something anybody has to say to you or do. Sometimes you just feel a bad energy about somebody when they're in a room or whatever. There's an intensity about them.
So there was this bad energy you felt from him.
There was an intensity to him when I shook his hand and looked into his eyes that just made me, I don't know, there were just questions like, whoa.
Interesting.
Like,
that's crazy.
and like, you know, it's just overall, but I, like everybody else, I mean, man, you look at I respect his work and all of that, but
Sure.
I just...
But do you think when something happens like that, like, you still see these wrestling fans. I love Chris Benoit. Do you think at some point, like when you do something like that, you've just washed away everything that was positive about you? Period. Like, you respect his
everything
wrestling,
has an
but
asterisk. It's hard because now it's hard to talk about Benoit without some degree thinking about all of this. Sure. Like even if WWE hadn't wiped the history book of him, it doesn't matter because anytime we bring up even Chris's work, you're just like, fuck, they killed his family. Like it's just, I just don't think there's anything we can do about it. Like he kind of did it to himself through what he did, where like you can't praise him without also like it's like you can't like think about it. Anybody who brings up anything about him, it's like you almost feel like you can't without referring to or at least even thinking it.
Sure.
Well, like and he wasn't a bad guy, man. It was just there was an intensity to him.
There was something missing.
That was uncomfortable, and then and I'm not saying I encounter people like that all the time. It's just more I've learned to trust my instincts on like if there's an energy about somebody that feels off, like even if they're nice to me, I'll take a back step and all.
So on the other end, and I'm not trying to compare this, but like you worked with John Cena, right? Which, we consider probably one of the final all-time greats in the industry.
Yeah.
But again, we're just fans. We know nothing. What was your feeling when you met John Cena? And is it true to the rumors that John would try to hold back people such as yourself because of your look and the possibility of you taking his spot?
I would have never thought that at the time. Like, because at that time, I just was like, dude, you're the world champion. You're John Cena. Like, and even when people would say that about Hunter, and I always thought the same thing. I was just like, man, you're Hunter. But you look back at certain instances, and you could make a case for that. But like, still in my mind, it still refers back to like, man, but you know what I mean? Like, what do you have to worry about? Because you've done so. It's hard to look at some of the guys who've had that much success and think that they should worry about anybody. But like at the same time, you're almost being foolish to think that there's not some of that. And like if you read between the lines, and now like I can look back. It's funny because you get older and you do get smarter, man.
Can you elaborate on an instance where, like, you're looking back, you go, "Wait a minute, yeah, this guy did do this crap to me."
Well, I don't want to create clickbait or anything. Like I know you want me to.
No. That's not the game we played. I'm just wondering,
I just, I can know with Cena, for instance, but like, Cena also had reasons not to like me because I can understand. Like, we were very different. We were oil and water. I mean, he's a Massachusetts guy. I'm a California guy, and also, there were things about my work ethic. I'm sure that he questioned, and probably rightfully so at that point. You know what I mean? Like, because I've. There are certain points where, I've grown a lot and I can look back at myself sometimes and be like, oh, you know what I mean? There was a lot more you could have been given at certain times that you didn't, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So, but like at the same time, we just didn't mesh. But like, I just had a difficult time because I worked with HBK, who was my all-time favorite wrestler. And like, we worked so great together. And then I would work with Cena around the same time, and it would almost flip-flop. I'd be in tag matches or singles, and it was just such a task with Cena, though. And Cena would try to call me out for it. And I even remember Sean coming to my defense one time and being like, well, I had no problem with him, which I was like, thank you. But I think also a thing with Cena is I think he's very, very, even if you watch the show, he's very OCD. And like I think he would get like that in wrestling matches, especially if he wasn't working with someone that was better than him, like a Shawn or Triple H or something like that. So when he was working with me, it's kind of like, I could have a great match with Shawn, because Shawn was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and he could work with anybody. But like with Cena, like, he had a little more experience than me, but not much. And he was over as hell, but his overness wasn't a reflection of where he was at in the artistry of professional wrestling yet.
Sure.
So I don't want to say it was the blind leading the blind, but it was just like, there was no Shawn Michaels in there to kind of, help things out when need be. And then with John Cena being that OCD.
Right. But what's so amazing, right? It's great that you say this, but it's like Shawn Michaels, who had this huge reputation of being probably one of the biggest pricks in the industry and would hold people down. You saw a different side of Shawn Michaels. You saw the change Shawn Michaels then.
Oh, yeah, and thank God, because it would be so disappointing, because, you always hear the saying about you don't want to meet your idols and stuff. you know, I don't know what it would have been like to meet the first Sean, and I can't even wrap my head around that because that was the one, you know, I grew up idolizing that.
Right, right.
Right.
But I am happy that I was able to, the work experience I had with him was like so pleasant, man. Like it was just, but I kind of threw it out there right from the get-go. Like I let him know pretty early on that he was my guy, and you know, I think I resided some of his promos on him and stuff like that. And it was more just because I just wanted him to know, hey, if I say anything stupid, that might be, you know, because when you're young at that age, there were a lot of little things. There's an etiquette, and there's a lot of little things that can get you heat, especially when you look the way I did, and you're getting a push. And so, like, I would constantly find myself like stepping in my own shit, like saying stuff that, you know, wasn't even that bad, but like, you know, it rubs somebody the wrong way and gets you heat. So I was just like, I just wanted to make sure with him, like, hey, you know, I didn't say literally this, but it was me kind of establishing, like, I have the utmost respect for you. So if I do or say anything stupid, just know it's not, you know, you are my guy. You know, please just, you know what I mean? Just know that going into this. But like, we never had any issues, man. It was like so much fun. Like, I can't even tell you the different little challenges that I ended up having to go through working him, because we worked all over the world, and there were always like various, like I remember there was one match where they kind of challenged me, him and Nate, to not bump him, not even one time in the whole match. Oh, and this was funny. I remember walking into the locker room one time, and Sean and Nate are dressing, and I walk into the locker room. I'm like, so we got a bump in HBK or a non-bump in HBK tonight? And Ric Flair just couldn't believe it. Like, he was like, he was like dying laughing, but like it was just more like, how, like, because I'd worked with both of them, but I don't think he hadn't heard some of the one-on-one conversations I had with Sean. So it was one of those things like, you know, this freaking kid is talking to you like that. What the heck? You know, he couldn't, and he made such a big deal about it. But little things like that. And then I remember one time Sean's brace we were in Ireland, and his brace broke, his knee brace. So we had to work a match in Dublin, Ireland, where we didn't run him at all. And like the only time we ran him is that one little sequence for the flipper, you know, the reverse. And then, you know, another thing was just, you know, it got to the point pretty early on where Sean just let me kind of be the quarterback of the match and call the whole match, which was crazy. I mean, you know, like I couldn't even really, it was hard to call the match without phrasing it every kind of thing I'd call it in the form of a question because of who he was.
Right.
But like, man, you know, so I mean, you couldn't ask, if you were to work with your childhood hero, you couldn't ask for a better work experience.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Now, you're presently in the NWA right now?
What's that?
Are you still with the NWA?
Oh, yeah.
Right now?
Oh, yeah.
How is it working with Billy Corgan?
NWA's been just a total blessing. I've really enjoyed it. Billy is a wrestling fan, and he's constantly like trying different ideas out. And he's also like, I can tell through hearing him talk that he perceives wrestling through the same scope as I do. And like, what's kind of important to us is, you know, like storytelling, selling, physicality. It's like, you know, it's a bit more old school, but I don't want to say like old school because I don't feel like we have a dated product. You know what I mean? I feel like all our talent are some of the best workers in the world. And, you know, the best worker doesn't consist of somebody who just does cool moves and high spots. You know what I mean? What you learn about the art of wrestling is that's part of it. But like really the art of wrestling is the nuance. You know what I mean? It's the selling. It's the, you know what I mean? It's the emotions. It's what you do in between the moves. It's like that little bit of, it's almost hard to explain, but it's like it's almost like no wasted motion. You know what I mean? You can see it in somebody's footwork. Like all those little nuanced things, if I was to lay that out, that's what, and the believability, man, like being able to get the audience, like it's not about just getting to get them to say, holy shit. It's about getting them to believe in whatever the conflict is in the ring.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the art or the suspension of disbelief will never die. And like, so go back to what you were saying. I think that's what NWA represents. If you watch our brand, it's physical. We got some great guys with a lot of experience, and we got some great up-and-comers. And, you know, I'm excited. I love our crew. I love you know, there's a lot of people I work with there who I was in the OVW system with.
Okay.
Were you worried when Nick Aldis decided to step away from the organization? How did you feel about that whole situation between him and Corrigan?
No, I wasn't worried because things between Nick and Billy were brewing for a long time. They hadn't been seen eye to eye, and also I kind of felt like Nick's gonna have more opportunities in the business. You know what I mean? Like it felt like I think he was the champion for such a long time that, you know, even if he stayed around, he would have been probably looking for either fresh people to work or kind of a different scenario. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I think I'm very optimistic about the future because I just feel like right now there's a good energy around what we're doing, and I think, you know, everybody just wants, you know, we all want our individual success, but we want that's not individually, it's also for the benefit of NWA wrestling. You know what I mean? It can be mutually beneficial, which is the way it should be.
Can Corrigan carry the ball, though, and get you guys there? Is Corrigan a level of a Vince McMahon, or need I even say a Tony Khan?
Is he even at every show? Considering this is the singer of Smashing Pumpkins, I would think that he's got a lot going on. I mean, is he really at every show?
Well, funny is that you have it. We just did our first live Power, and he wasn't there, but he was supposed to. But there was a lot of weather issues. No, but Billy's hands-on. He's been almost every show I've been to. There's only been a couple he hasn't been to, and
how is he with the boys compared to Vince? I mean, you've seen the ultimate promoter with Vince. I mean, how is he with the boys? Is he more like a friend to them, like we fear our coach from the Jets, maybe?
Right,
hey,
right.
buddies, let's all go bowling.
Yeah.
Or is he more like, you know, hey,
no,
you work for me. Let's.
No, he's not like that.
Okay,
I like Billy.
okay.
Billy's energy is much. He comes from a place of passion, but also a place of respect.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you can tell that he's passionate about pro wrestling, but he also approaches the talent with the respect of knowing that, you know, they are the professional wrestlers.
Is he interested in a killer two-man announcing crew?
There you go.
You know, like, hey,
Killer. Dude.
You never know, man. Like, I know,
Thank you.
I know what right now, I know we got Joe Galley, who I think is, like, if you hear some of Joe's work, man, from a play-by-play standpoint, you know what I mean? Like, he is really freaking awesome. Like, I'm really a big fan, and him, Velvet has been, Velvet Sky has also been on the team, and Tim Storm, who's a freaking great guy. But no, we have.
All right, you got to
multiple
be
shows.
honest here, though, and I'm trying to be respectful. You name I love Velvet, I do.
Oh. Oh boy. Oh yeah.
But I got to tell you, I got to pass on Austin Idol, though. I just think the guy
Austin
just
Idol?
doesn't have the chops to be an announcer.
Well, can I plead
the Pharaoh.
You could take the fifth.
Well,
That's okay. That's
you
fair.
know what? I just think Austin Idol, like, because Austin Idol, a big part of his whole thing was talking. I just think it's one of those things where those type of characters aren't always the best for commentary because it's very him-centric, I think, right?
I get it, but it's like, okay, to me, Austin Idol's relevant, right? Because I'm old.
He was
dirt,
awesome back
right?
in the day. Sure.
But
sure.
and I know they're trying to keep that whole NWA feel, but to me, the newer fan doesn't know who Austin Idol is, and he's not very good at it. And again, I'm not asking you to comment. I'm just giving you my opinion. But on the other hand, I think Velvet Sky is crazy good. Crazy good.
And she's just like she's getting better too. Even I just made a reel for our Knoxville show, like for my Instagram, and so I have to watch some of these things like multiple times. So, but it really makes it start standing out to you, like, oh, what sounds good, and like when I hear her commentary.
But that's my point. You're Chris Masters or Chris Adonis. You are the real deal. You've got some real deal wrestlers here. But everybody knows the announcers can make the wrestlers, and if you don't have that quality announcing, it's a problem. That's my opinion. That's all.
Yeah, and man, again, like, I want you guys to check. Well, I guess you've heard some of them, but like Joe Galley has this ability that when he makes, like, he has this way where he presents something at certain times where he really adds some weight to what's happening, just like you just said,
right, in
that moment. And I love that. Like, his voice gives it an important feel. Like, and I feel like that's been missing and I don't know, maybe there is some of that in WWE. I don't know, maybe I just don't watch enough, but like, I don't feel like we've had that in wrestling since Jim Ross. Like, I feel like Jim Ross used to make those calls that, man, like, they would just add so much to the moment.
Well, you got Pat McAfee now who does a really solid job.
Does he do a good job of that? Like, I know people love him.
And Michael Cole's Michael Cole's.
But Michael Cole, does Michael Cole give off that big? I guess he does in certain moments. I don't know.
When he works
I'm
with
not saying any of
McAfee,
these
he's
guys-
a straight man, right? So it works. You know,
Yeah.
again, we talk about the great announcing teams, Monsoon and Heenan, right? Ventura and McMahon. Talk about Vince McMahon.
But like, how many of those? Like, I remember Jim Ross would make these calls sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
That they would replay in video packages because they were just so great,
Mm.
right? Like, and I don't know, maybe they still do that with these guys.
But that's what you need in the NWA. You need those type of calls. Because I got to tell you, when first NWA Power came out, we were huge fans.
Yeah.
And they kind of slipped away a little bit, but now that they added you, they brought in Brodus.
Yeah, I think you
it's
guys should
improving.
you guys. I think if you haven't visited in a while, like check out again our Knoxville show. I felt like really was the right first step of this year, man. Like the energy in that building was great, and like man, I haven't got to see the whole show yet, but man, even like you guys watched this Champion Series match that I was involved in, and then if you see, watch that match, watch what I was kind of involved in going into the finish and stuff. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And I think, what I'm saying is it might encourage you to start following it weekly again. Because I think, trust me, everybody there is motivated to serve you all.
Wow, good stuff. With that, we're going to take a commercial break because the time has come, Jimmy.
Yeah, I got to go home.
So,
hey, good night, guys. See you
again,
later.
Chris, you still got it. You still got a career, and a huge career on top of it. So we can't have my partner breaking
start
out of the
with
mask.
him. Don't get
so
him
anyway,
mad.
for
Would
St.
you
for
stop
St.
it?
Jude's Children's Hospital, Chris Masters has allowed the opportunity for my partner, the star of the show, to be put into the master lock, and if he could get out, we'll be donating. We've had a whole bunch of donations, and that'll be going to St. Jude's Hospital. But again,
I never said I was going to do this.
so if anyone thinks this is a work,
Stop it.
this gentleman still has a
Stop.
huge career ahead of him.
Stop.
So he can't have
Stop.
some
Don't
ordinary
make this-
dude.
I know, because my
break
career
out.
will be over if he breaks out.
That's right. I
Said he
agree.
I'll
works
never
for
be
me.
able to show
You
my
do.
face in America again.
So with this, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Jimmy Farrow
Sims, we're
in
going,
the Master
Sims,
Lock
we're going
Challenge.
we're going for bagels, Sims. Let's go.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
Sir,
Ah.
Manscaped.
Uh-huh.
You know, have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped. What are you thinking about
Love it.
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These
Wow.
caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So
pick.
Manscaped is a
You-
must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a woman,
I know where
would you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Racing stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that. As well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found
have you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow,
Yeah, I'm
like
46,
it
of
pops
course.
out?
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's
through.
a trooper. He's a trooper. Got to give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you go.
I hear you.
you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven, does Manscaped could help you?
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Man, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
holy
with that,
Ron
we're going to take
Jeremy,
a quick
Batman.
commercial break and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty Nefaro, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where we have the iconic Chris Masters in studio. And boy, I got to tell you, I want to thank all the fans who have donated. The Pharaoh will be attempting to break out of the Master Lock Challenge, and all donations are going to the St. Jude Children's Hospital. First off, I got to say, Chris, holy shit, you're huge. You know what? You don't realize how huge you are
Try to stand up, right?
until you stand up. Holy cow.
Yeah, people just don't realize 6'4", 260 pounds still. So I mean, it's what pro wrestlers are supposed to weigh. And
Thank you, sir. And that's why I love you in NWA, and I never want to see you in AEW. I want to see you either WWE or stay in the NWA. But first off, the Pharaoh's been good enough to accept the challenge. He will try to break out of the Master Lock Challenge. But before we get to it, got to ask you a question. Being an old school wrestling fan, right, and you loved wrestling, do you remember the Cobra Clutch Challenge?
Oh, boy.
Back in the day. With Slaughter.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's probably one of my oldest memories.
So I always wish the Master Lock Challenge was going to get to that level. Was that the plan behind the Master Lock Challenge? Was to have you weekly, constantly put down guys until you just get into that big feud with the guy who finally breaks it?
I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know if in our day and age we could have drawn it out that long, because I think it went a good year and a half or something without getting broken, which already seems like a long time at that point. But, I did a lot of stuff to derail. You know what I mean?
I got you.
A lot happened in that block of time, so it could have gone any which way, I imagine.
Well, I want to remind you, Chris, and I don't want to put a lot of pressure on you, but if my partner, who I love dearly, breaks
Yeah.
out of this,
Love dearly.
your career is over.
It's done.
And I'm going to have to call you and hire you at my place.
What are you
So
doing?
you got one
No,
choice.
No, I'm leaving the country.
You're
Are you
leaving
kidding
the-
me?
so it's
I'm
either
leaving
break
the
'em in half.
continent.
I know there's
I'm-
money on the line for children, but it's either break them in half or lose your career.
Do it for the kids.
I'm gonna go to Southern Africa or
Teach yourself
something.
defense how to get out of.
All right, Pharaoh, are you ready? The Master Lock Challenge.
Okay, so this is we're gonna go through this step by step, though, right?
Go ahead.
We've got him placed. We've got our victim in the chair.
Victim.
Like so.
What the?
Now he's already not starting this out right. He's got a hat on, sunglasses. It's already put it on.
Chris, he's already disrespecting you.
No, but I'm just saying it puts you're at
There you
vulnerability.
go. There's your
Okay.
hat. Hold on a second.
Oh,
There's
he's
your
getting rid of
glasses.
everything. Okay, you don't gotta get rid of anything else.
Yeah,
Stop
right.
there.
Are you sure? Wait a second.
No.
You're kind of put together kind of well.
No, you
Wait,
keep
hold
that
on.
on. You keep that on. We're good there. Okay,
Man,
so
this
our
is no
next
fun
step
at all.
This is a very important part. Okay, so we hook under here.
Oh,
Right?
Jesus Christ.
We
Oh,
hook here,
boy.
and then we hook here. Now,
Ah,
this is
come
a very
on,
important
man. This
detail.
hurts already.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. Look at
Okay.
this. He's bragging.
But here's what's important. You gotta hook the fingers like this.
God almighty.
You can't just interlace them. So you gotta hook.
Wait,
them
hold
like
on. My
this.
beer gut. My beer gut.
Oh
Wait.
boy. And
Ah,
go ahead and stand up.
Jesus.
Go ahead and stand up. All right, there we go.
Get out.
All right.
Yeah, we're good. Out. Dude,
So
hey,
now
we're
what
good.
you do?
We're
is
good.
I
guess we're not good.
Wait,
Oh,
you'll
shit.
see that you just
Jesus God, there
push
goes
the
my
head forward,
Stop it.
and it cuts off blood flow to the head. And
come on,
what
man.
happens is
Ah,
they
jeez.
start
Ah,
to pass out
this is a bad
slowly
idea.
but surely and turn this color purple. That tends to be a bit disturbing. And this is the point. Yep. See, you don't
It's
hear
over.
much.
You finished them.
Got very quiet.
Wow. Well, while he's sleeping, Eric Sims, come on in there. Good job, Mr. Masters. Thank you, sir. Eric,
Hey, Eric.
you travel
Hey,
with Chris.
it's no BS. It's your cult hero. It's ESS. And we're on tour. Chris Masters. Here's where you're going to see Chris Masters today, right after this. 11 o'clock, we're going to be at the Wrestling Universe. That's in Queens, New York. Flushing, whatever. Anyway.
You got this. You
I
got this. Keep going. Keep going.
All right.
By the way, the fans say the Pharaoh is fooked. He's more than fooked.
Hey, don't wake him up.
Anyway, after the Wrestling Universe in Flushing, Queens, New York, we're over at the Wrestling Collector. That's in Stockholm, New Jersey. Another autograph session, 3 to 5 p.m. And then if that's not enough,
It's not enough.
if it's not enough,
It's not enough.
come see Chris wrestle tonight at SWF Live over in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. And then finally tonight, we got another virtual tonight.
Wait, we still got another one after that?
We got a
Chris,
virtual
how much is
tonight
this guy
at
paying you?
9 o'clock tonight. Captain's Corner virtual.
Wow.
On the Captain's Corner Facebook page. Yeah.
When-
And if that is not enough, tomorrow we go down to Westminster, Maryland. It's just outside of Baltimore. You know, Westminster, like the dog show, but it's the town in Maryland. It's Celeb Fest 6. Chris Masters will be my guest signing autographs at...
When are we going to sleep and eat?
There is no sleep. You sleep when you're dead.
Jeez. He's
By the
not
way,
kidding.
BS Express says Chris Masters did a better job with Pharaoh than Hogan did with Belzer. How do you like that?
I concur.
Chris, thank you for joining Long Island's #1 pro
Thank you,
wrestler
everybody.
broadcast.
Thank
You
you.
are an icon. Good luck this week.
ESSpromotions.com for all the information.
This is Mike Monty, and for my partner who's still out cold, we'll see you at about 10 o'clock where we've got our special guest coming in at 10. So join us. Have a good day.